Welcome everyone to another Too Good for Theaters video. Today we're going to be breaking down the Patriots' victory over the Chicago Bears. Final score of 19-3. So let's get right into this breakdown. So starting off with the offensive side of the ball here, I think that this was by far the most balanced effort that the Patriots have brought forth through this part of the season thus far between the run and the passing game. Of course, the offensive line had struggled in previous weeks with really running the football, but today they were able to kind of exploit that poor Chicago Bears run defense that the Bears really have struggled with. Very similar to your own defense for the majority of the season against the run. And the weather conditions certainly allowed the Patriots to really take advantage of that and kind of play a little bit to their strengths. But like I said before, it was a balanced effort. I do think that Drake May had himself a pretty solid day. Even when he had the turnover, I think the next drive after that, he actually went down the field and was able to bounce back. And I think it was the touchdown drive that he actually ended up leading there, where he was able to hit that touchdown pass to Jalen Polk. Real nice play called by Alex Van Pelt there. And the Patriots really have kind of seen that immense success in the red zone. I believe they're like 88% red zone touchdown percentage in the league ever since Drake May has been under center. So when this offense does get down there, I think Alex Van Pelt has shown some creativity in terms of play calling that do allow this team to finish with 6 instead of 3. But as I said before, the most balanced effort by far. Ramondre Stevenson had himself a solid day on the ground. I believe he finished with around 77 yards, 3.7 per carry. Antonio Gibson and JaMychal Hasty also had some scat back carry there, where they were able to kind of have some success on the ground. And I do think that this team was able to implement a little bit of that outside zone, which they really have struggled with thus far. I know that Ramondre Stevenson had some success with that today, as well as Antonio Gibson, I believe, had a couple of runs like that later in the game that had some mild success. And that also allowed for the Patriots to kind of use some of those bootleg passes that Alex Van Pelt liked so much. And they were really able to attack that middle of the field with that as well. I know Demario Douglas had himself a pretty solid day. Honestly, he wasn't even attacking that middle of the field so much. It was more so behind the line of scrimmage plays as well as outs with Demario Douglas. But Austin Hooper, I believe, was the team's leading receiver here today. Had himself in a couple of different, actually, formations where he was lining up wide in some stances there and was able to kind of hit those crosses across the middle as well as a little bit of a post route. And obviously had that deep corner route, which I believe was Drake May's first completion of the day. But it was interesting to see how Austin Hooper was kind of implemented in different packages as well as different formations where he was really aligning in some of these outside situations, and it wasn't just like end line scenarios for the tight end there. You know, Kayshon Boutte had himself another day. It's really interesting to see the chemistry develop between Kayshon Boutte and Drake May. I don't want to say that Kayshon Boutte is Drake May's go-to receiver thus far, but he certainly is getting more and more playing time because he's been able to establish that trust and chemistry with Drake May. And Demario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte both on the day, I believe, had 4 catches. Demario Douglas might have had 5, but really nice job on the day for both of them to get themselves implemented in this game plan. Hunter Henry has been Drake May's go-to guy of past weeks. I believe he only had 1 catch on this game in particular, but it's just good to see that Drake May is spreading the ball around. And I was a little surprised, honestly, to see that Kendrick Bourne actually was getting benched in this game. And supposedly it was because they wanted to play the young receivers. But in my personal opinion, I would have probably been playing Kendrick Bourne over KJ Osborne. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Patriots really monitor that situation. Obviously, Kendrick Bourne is signed to a multi-year deal, so you'd think that he would still try and be a part of this receiving core. And it's a little bit of an interesting move that the Patriots were benching him and not KJ Osborne there. Maybe it's just to keep KJ Osborne's mind engaged in this season thus far. But I really did like what I saw out of Drake May today. Of course, he does have to throw that ball away. That's what he claimed he was doing. To me, it kind of looked like he was throwing it to Austin Hooper, and he just made a bit of a poor throw. But if you are throwing it away in those instances, you have to chuck it out of bounds and make sure that no defender is even near it there. But it was an encouraging sign here to see this offensive play call. Really, I don't want to say really kind of finally be able to call at their max capacity, but this is what this offense is ideally supposed to look like. They're able to run the football effectively as well as kind of call those shot plays and play action passes where they can attack this middle of the field as well as maybe create some chunk plays down the sideline. And it was interesting to see how Alex Van Pelt really was able to call the game when he had the run game working as well as had Drake May under center. And it looked pretty solid on the day. I know they only finished with, I believe, 16 first downs on the day, and they were playing a little bit of time control possessions there in the second half. But it was still encouraging. I think the offense did enough considering what the defense was doing on the day. So that's always an encouraging sign when the offense knows their role. And they kind of played that supplementary supportive role today where they were able to get 19 points on the board. And the way that the defense was playing today, that was going to be far than enough to win this game there. And it doesn't hurt when Joey Sly goes 4-4 there on the day. So I think that the offense did their job today, played to their strengths, and they were able to kind of capitalize on some of the disadvantages that Chicago defense has shown on film in past weeks. So a nice job by this offensive coaching staff, kind of exploiting the Chicago Bears' defensive problems and kind of playing a little bit to your strengths. And hopefully this is something that the offensive line can kind of continue to build upon here. They only gave up 1 sack this week compared to 4 last week. And I believe that 1 sack was actually in the opening series. So hopefully this offensive line is going to continue to build on the momentum that they gained this week in terms of the running game, as well as kind of having the pass protection game. And this might have been their most complete effort on both sides in terms of running and pass protection-wise of the season. So hopefully this Patriots offense is going to continue and spring this momentum forward next week to going into the Rams game. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball today, obviously the huge storyline is the Patriots defense comes up with a total of 9 sacks. Guys like Keion White, Jeremiah Farms had himself an absolute day. Anthony Jennings had multiple sacks. Dietrich Wise as well. Guys really did a real nice job of getting pressure on the quarterback, which is something that has not happened for this Patriots line consistently enough on this season thus far. But I do think that the Patriots made a concerted effort to really stop the run, which they have been getting gashed by basically the entirety of the season. Really, the only time where I don't remember them getting gashed by the run was against Seattle and Cincinnati. And those two teams, especially Seattle without Kenneth Walker in that game, really kind of struggled to run the ball in general. But that's beside the point, and the Patriots did a real nice job today of shutting down the Chicago rushing offense, as well as kind of getting out to that bigger lead there. Really kind of made the Chicago offense one-dimensional in the second half, and that allowed for the Patriots pass rush to really tee off on the Bears' struggling line. They're kind of in that same fold as us with their offensive line having some injuries, as well as, frankly, just not being as productive, and they're not one of the most talented offensive lines in the league. So it was great to see guys being able to get after the quarterback, like I said before, and coming up with a total of 9 sacks. Patriots were being really creative in how they got pressure today as well, whether it was sending guys from the secondary like Marcus Jones, I remember in particular, really was going to, it looked like on one of those plays where they kind of broke up one of those bubble screens, it looked like he was going to actually be blitzing the quarterback. I believe it was Johnson on the call who kind of pointed it out, but did a real nice job of recognizing the play. Almost actually came up with an interception behind the line of scrimmage, but then guys really rallied, and I remember they tackled DJ Moore behind the line of the scrimmage there. But whether it was bringing guys in the secondary from your linebacking core, the Patriots were able to kind of create pressure in a multitude of ways, and I think they did a real nice job of kind of confusing Caleb Williams as well as this offensive line, and really, frankly, just beating guys one-on-one at times, like Keion White as well as Dietrich Wise and Jeremiah Farms and Anthony Jennings. This was really the most complete effort by this defense thus far. The only time you could really compare it back to was against the Bengals, and the Bengals kind of made themselves some own issues there with the turnovers issues there. But this defense did a real nice job today, really getting after Caleb Williams, obviously made him uncomfortable, and did a real nice job of limiting explosive plays. And that's something that Caleb Williams was known for his entirety time in college, and that's something that he's really looked for in the NFL. And with that receiving core, I really don't blame him. Guys like DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, as well as Rome Odunze, that's certainly a talented wide receiver room right there. But real nice job by the defensive coaching, understanding the limitations with the weather kind of inclements in this game. Just really doing a nice job of getting after Caleb Williams and not allowing him to extend plays. And the defensive line did a great job today. cannot rave high enough about some of the players today. Jeremiah Farms in particular, whether it was stopping the run or even getting pressure on the quarterback, had multiple efforts. I remember he had that one play where he actually missed on one of the sacks. Caleb Williams continued to hold on to the ball and actually came up from behind and was still able to come up with that sack, really just giving a multitude of efforts on the play, and he got rewarded. Really had himself a real nice day, and hopefully he's going to earn a little bit more playing time there. I really do like the defensive line combination of Devon Gottschall, Jaquelin Roy, as well as Jeremiah Farms. Obviously, maybe not the most talented group. Once Christian Barmore kind of comes back into that equation, though, you're going to have your main pass rusher with Christian Barmore, your main run stuffer with Devon Gottschall. You're going to have Daniel Aquale there being one of those kind of undersized pass rushers. Kind of reminds me of Adam Butler back in the day for those old head Patriots teams in that second dynasty era. Really those defensive tackles who kind of get thrown into those third down plays and really trying to pass the rusher from the interior there. But they have a solid rotation at the defensive tackle position. I think just Christian Barmore, the absence of Christian Barmore just cannot be spoken of enough. But once he comes back into this equation, I do think that this defensive line is going to perform a lot better, as well as getting a little bit of reinforcements from the front office. I believe they signed Yeku Nkongwe, I believe it is. All I know is that he's a former Pro Bowler. He's been very productive in this league. He was with Jacksonville, most recently Baltimore. I believe he actually played in Chicago as well as Minnesota as well. He's been a solid, very productive pass rusher in this league. Not sure you're going to get a ton from him on early downs, especially when you have edge players like Keon White and Anthony Jennings, who are really pretty solid run defenders on the edge there. But he really can fill in for that role for Josh Uche and probably perform a little bit better. He is coming off a little bit of that injury there. But the Patriots' defensive line, as much as I've been kind of asking them to generate some type of pressures this season, they're getting a little bit more reinforcements. And it's kind of strange how the moment they kind of hear they're getting a little bit of reinforcements, all of a sudden, defensive line gets 9 sacks on the next game. Obviously, those numbers are not going to be able to be obtained and be available on a consistent basis there. But it really was just an encouraging sign for this Patriots pass rush to finally start getting some pressure on the quarterback. And the defensive coaching staff did a real nice job of kind of scheming up ways to kind of get pressure on Caleb Williams there. And Caleb Williams certainly had some rookie moments there. He did miss a couple of passes there. I remember DJ Moore, I believe it was one to the outside where he kind of led him a little too far there, and it was a little underthrown. And Caleb Williams did have some times to make plays today. Unfortunately for the Bears, though, he didn't make all the ones that he really needed to on the day. And of the top 3 picks battle, I would say that Drake May, even though he did have that turnover early on in this game, I think that he responded well, and he did a real nice job considering what he was going up against with that Bears defense there. And I would say that he ultimately took the day, understanding that they're not actually going up against each other. But I'd say that Drake May performed much more better on the day than Caleb Williams did. Not to say that Caleb Williams is going to be a bad player at all. You know, he's still young. And that coaching situation in Chicago certainly, I'm sure, is not helping him with this standpoint here. But real nice job by this defense. Christian Gonzalez on the day did absolute lockdown corner stuff. I believe he was targeted 5 times on the day, only allowed 1 catch for 14 yards. That's really what you're asking from Christian Gonzalez there. And honestly, I feel pretty good with Christian Gonzalez going up against any of the Chicago wide receivers on the day. Roma Dunze did have that drop early on against him there, but Christian Gonzalez just kind of played the leverage. He knew what he had to do in this game. Did a real nice job of kind of shutting down those receivers. And it was kind of interesting to see also how the Patriots used Brendan Schooler as a spy in this game. It's going to be interesting to kind of see if they implement that against some mobile quarterbacks that they might be facing in the future. Guys like Josh Allen as well as Kyler Murray. It's going to be really interesting. I know that Brendan Schooler is majority a special teamer, but it was interesting to see him get defensive snaps. And honestly, I kind of liked how they used him as that spy. They didn't ask too much of him in terms of going into coverage here, but really just allowed him to kind of rush the quarterback and really kind of keep his eyes in the backfield in this game. So I think that was a really nice game plan there by Jerron Mayo as well as DeMarcus Covington of using Brendan Schooler. And that's kind of one of those areas where Brendan Schooler could be productive. That's something where you put him in the open field that's very special team-like, especially when he's just spying on the quarterback. That's really his one job there, as well as to play off the run. So it really kind of just takes advantage of what he does well on special teams there and implements it on the defensive end. But it was a really interesting game plan there by the Patriots of having Brendan Schooler kind of be that spy-like player there. And that's encouraging. Like, that's an adjustment that this coaching staff made. I won't even call it an adjustment. That's a game plan experience that this coaching staff like really took advantage of. And that's a nice job of kind of implementing a creative way of getting one of their better special teams player involved on the defensive side of the football. Obviously, he played a little bit of safety in college, but that's an interesting way of using him. And that might be something that might help you generate a little more success coming down the road against these mobile quarterbacks. So real nice job there by Gerard Mayo, as well as DeMarcus Covington and this Patriots defensive coaching staff of using Brendan Schooler and implementing him in an area where he can have success and help out this defense. And how can I not talk about how well the Patriots did on third down today from a defensive standpoint? I believe they held Chicago to 1 of 14 on third downs today, which is incredibly impressive. They did a real nice job of getting Chicago off the field on those third down instances. And Chicago did convert a couple of fourth downs there. But, I mean, just a real nice job by this Patriots defense, only allowing 11 first downs in this game. That's certainly the key to success. I believe they allowed more rushing yards than passing yards in this week. But that does not speak of anything that the Bears did well. I believe they only had 77 rushing yards as well as 69 passing yards. Understandably, those passing yard numbers are going to go down when you pick up 9 sacks. I believe I saw a stat where the Bears kind of lost around 60 yards in terms of sack yardage on the day. So just an incredible job by the defense there, forcing negative plays, winning on early downs, and that really kind of turned the Bears into a one-dimensional offense that I kind of mentioned furthermore. And that really just allows this defense to play to its strengths, to kind of play into man coverage, be creative with its blitz packages, and it really did show today. And I think this is by far the best defensive game plan that this defensive coaching staff, as well as Gerard Mayo, have come up with against an opposing offense this season. So it's very encouraging to see this coaching staff taking some steps forward, and hopefully they're going to be able to kind of build upon this, as well as kind of implementing new guys like Okekwe Okongwu. Hopefully get him on the field a little bit in some pass rush scenarios and help out this defensive line even more. Maybe a guy like Christian Barmore returns as well, and maybe this defense starts to generate a ton more pressure, which allows them to play more to their strengths like they have today. So it's going to be very interesting to kind of see how they're able to implement these new pass rushers into this equation. Hopefully you get Christian Barmore back, and it's going to be hopefully a very interesting turn here for the Patriots defense. It's something that they can carry over and gain momentum on week to week and help establish this defensive side of the football to really what we thought they were going to be this year, of being that top 10 defensive unit where they're able to kind of implement a ton of creativity. Sort of like the Bill Belichick. Obviously, you're going to have a bit of a drop-off there, but I still think that this team is going to be a defensive team, and frankly, the defense has not played that well thus far this season, but this was certainly the best stepping block into creating that defensive identity once more. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this breakdown. The Patriots get the 19-3 dub against Chicago Bears in Chi-Town. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and once again, thank you so much for watching.